Hello, welcome to another episode of Full Circle with me, Onyx. And today I want to talk about all things magical, um, and kind of specifically magical attacks, psychic attacks. Um, and this episode is because my client decided to flip a script and magically and psychically attack me with her accomplice. So, if you've watched some of my previous videos on magical and psychic attacks, um, I've been helping a lady who believed she was under magical attacks, psychic attacks, and she basically goes store hopping and she doesn't realize she's the source of the problem. So, uh, when she was working at a health store that actually had a section of healing crystals and minerals, they had herbs, they had essential oils, they had candles. It was very much of a holistic place. She was working there, and it's interesting because the supervisor who's worked there for a lot of years, she's this older Pisces woman. And I actually don't really like that person very much either. But apparently, this lady felt sorry for her. Uh, and this lady, uh, let's see, what should we call her? We'll just call her Jay, you know? Uh, so Jay is the client. Jay is the one who decided to flip a script and go after me because I wasn't falling for her bullshit. So she was playing the victim. So, she plays helpless and in need, a damsel in distress. She's a aging woman. She is very beautiful, but she's aging, so you can't be that hot, right? So, on the decline, broken relationships, kind of like a single parent, whatever. But so she gets this job at the New Age store and, you know, says all whatever her tragic story is. And this supervisor gives her some crystals to work with. And supposedly she got sick with these crystals and felt they had evil intentions. And she fell for it, and so then she like threw the crystals away, even though she was supposed to give them back, because the lady was saying you can borrow some of my favorite crystals for healing, as a loving, generous Pisces would do. Um, but I guess she had a reaction to the crystals, to all that, and then decided they were after her and they were evil and they were mean. And so then she fled to this other store that's just down the street from me. And I've been shopping at that store for years. I thought they were just a little bit overpriced, but usually the store was kept very clean energetically. And they even went so far to kind of clean the stones and clean the shelves and kind of rotate things to kind of keep the energy moving. So, a little knowledge of feng shui. And then after you purchased your crystals, they had like an essential oil spritzer they would spray your crystal down with to kind of cleanse it. So they kind of really kept their crystals clean. So I would kind of go there. And so Jay, this client, soon to be client, started working there. And we got in a few conversations. I noticed she was guarded. Uh, and then I noticed like she was like over guarded and she's kind of acting a little weird. So I was like, hey, you know what? Calm down. You're a little over guarded. And whatever you're over guarded about, you're just kind of a self fulfilling prophecy. You're making problems for yourself. Just chill out. When you relax, your energy will flow and you'll feel better. So we almost became friends. Then she was like telling me her sad story. Hey, this other lady over at the other store? Yeah, I do. What do you think about her? Well, I think she's kind of a bitch. If you can say bitch on YouTube, I don't know. Obviously, this isn't for children. Disclaimer, I sometimes, slip a few words in there. So, anyways, so I was like, yeah, I've been over there. I thought about working there. The few times I applied, I didn't get it because the the other supervisor who newly got hired at the time was a bigot, and so he didn't hire me for my sexual orientation. That's his insecurities, whatever. So I was like, yeah, they're a little bit weird over there. So that's nice that you're here now and whatever, you know. And then, over the, because I usually frequent that store, I probably visit it 3 times a month, so that's almost once a week because there's only 4 weeks in a month. But, anyways, so I was over there again. And then she's like, hey, I feel like I'm under some type of attack. I've gone to these card readers, psychics, healers. And they tell me it's like an energetic device. They tell me it's a wizard from in the astral plane who wants me. And then they tell me it's someone, and it's always something different. And I'm like, okay, this is a little weird, but usually psychics will tell you whatever just to get paid. And since all the stories are different, none of them are true. So let's just use a little reason, a little logic. And, then she was like, well, I would go to this healer who was over at that healing center that I used to work at. And I feel like she's attacking me and trying to steal my energy and whatever. Can you see her in your mind's eye? What's going on? I'm like, well, she's definitely kind of envious of you. Oh, and intuitively, she's like, well, she's in my business and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I think she just wants to be your friend because that's what I'm getting, you know? And so she's like, can you like get rid of her or whatever next time I feel attacked or whatever? So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll help a friend out, someone in need, I was falling for it. Um, you know, and so yeah, you might go get a massage from someone or go get a psychic session, and energy cords just happen. Cords come from our chakra centers, and our chakra centers are energy centers, but they're also consciousness centers. So we tend to map out our consciousness body wide. And so our awareness of our sexuality is down, below the belly button. Our awareness of personality is below the heart. Our awareness of love kind of is in upper chest. Our awareness of communication gets put in our throat. And our awareness of thinking and consciousness and perception is around the head. And we have a tendency to put our awareness of spirituality above the head and at crown level. So these awarenesses can be moved around, but it's just traditionally, that's just such an easy way to organize ourselves. Uh, so you're, so anyways, so through these stations of awareness, we reach out, and with our etheric body and our astral body, different levels of energy, consciousness, and ectoplasm, and it creates cords as we attach to people. Some of the cords are thin, like spider webs. Some of them are thick and kind of, I would almost say, greasy, just more jelly-like. And, and they can vary from really bright white, crystalline, to dark, murky, to weak, to very strong, like a cord, to bright blue. Like I see those with my eyes. So I've always had an ability to see certain things from different planes of awareness. Uh, and so, that's one reason why she wanted to work with me, because she was like, what do you see? Do you see an open portal in my house? What do you see? Do you see this certain someone attached to me? What's going on? I'm like, well, sometimes I would see stuff. Sometimes I wouldn't. I'd be like, okay, whatever. Like, one, you're not paying me. So quit demanding. I like to be relaxed about this. This is a relaxed thing. Like you're so used to all these fake psychics, fake healers, fake everything telling you what you want to hear. And you're paying them and you're buying into it and they're just going with your story because you won't believe anything different. You won't take a no, you won't take a reality check. Like I'm a little concerned for you. So, I'm kind of explaining the whole story. And then one day I go into the store again, this is months later. And I blocked her a few times and put her aside a few times. I'm like, let's see what you do. Let's see how you handle yourself. You're going to these other healers. So I gave her tips. I go, we got in a conversation and turns out she drinks. And I was like, well, if you want a stronger aura and you don't want to be attacked by things so easily, then you probably want to go off hard medications and binge drinking or lots of drinking because if it weakens your body, it's weakening your energy system. And your body is your temple, but your body is also your anchor into this dimension. So if you're dealing with something of other dimensions, the best thing you can do is strengthen your physical body. So through conversations, slowly getting to know you as friends, I noticed she didn't exercise. I found, so I was like, the first thing I would do is clean up your diet, go exercise, and minimal drinking to none. Like, especially if you're super scared that this like evil wizard or this greedy healer is after you. The last thing you want to do is like open that door. You're scared, right? So obviously she wasn't stopping, and or was she taking the advice? So I was like, let me just, because we're used to a culture where you just like go to a doctor, wait in an office, he prescribes you something, you take it home, and it's over with. You go get a minor surgery and it's over with. I'm like, we're dealing with a personality type. We're dealing with psychological things. We're dealing with baggage. You could have an enemy that's hated you for years. That's been like following you. You don't really know what. So some things take a little bit more time to unravel, and kind of like layers by layers. You know, uh, like so it took me a couple months before she finally told me that she drinks. And then it's like, okay, you got to stop doing that. No wonder why so many energy healings didn't work. It's leaking out. And number one, I was like, you can't have multiple healers, multiple psychics working on you, because that's like having multiple doctors that think they know how to do the same surgery, right? Like you got to get all the chefs out of the kitchen. You need one. So no wonder why you're not getting better really quickly. So, and then, we were going for that. Did she really listen? Did she really take the advice? No. Who listens to advice that's free? Who listens to someone who's not charging you? Who listens to someone just wearing everyday clothes? Whose name is Onyx, who goes to a rock store, who everyone who works there knows him because he's been shopping there for the last 15 years as just a customer. So, who the fuck is he? Yeah. So I realized I'm dealing with a stubborn personality. You can't really help people who don't uh, apply what you say. Like, she hears it, so I can't say she's not listening, but she's not really understanding simple measures lead, like an ounce of prevention uh spares you from a pound of pain, you know? So it's the little routines, it's the little things that add up. and save you. It's the little things that you miss that leave you wide open for an attack, you know? So we're looking at a personality profile. And I don't know if it helps that she's Cancerian. Anyways, anyways, so she's still doing her routine months later. She's like, gosh, I thought I'd be over this by July. And now it's like winter, And then it's just like, I've given myself until March to be completely clear of all of this. I'm like, good for you, you know? So another thing is this is her story. This is her identity. And we have to go into some basic psychology stuff. I'm like, do you believe in a universe that's actually loving? Or do you believe in a universe that's painful? you know, that's going to teach you through pain? Or would you rather learn by love? Do you believe you have a choice? Do you believe there's forces outside of you that can harm you? What am I dealing with? Do you have any personal power? Do you have any self esteem? Or like, what's going on here? We need to, because if I'm going to communicate with you, we need to know what your universe looks like and the beliefs that you have inside yourself so we can have common ground to create a protocol to really do something. Like, I'm invested in you because I've been psychic attacked before. I know what this is about. Let's, anyway, so who are you without your wound? Why don't you heal? How come you're always so the common denominator is her in all of her messed up situations. And so finally, she's sad. She's like having a breakdown one day. And I'm like, all right, let's do some work. So she's like, what do you see? Do you see something open? Do you see? And I was like, I don't know. Let me just kind of like feel your energy and see what's going on. And when that happened, her like shadow self showed up. And it was ugly. It looked just like her, but like a smoky black version, like black clouds, her with like matted hair, just really belligerent and rude. And I was like, oh, this is like your subconscious informed. This is your shadow. Anyone else would go, that's a fucking demon. But it's actually her shadow self. It's a part of her subpersonality. It's arrogant. It's rude. It's condescending. It's like, I can see everything you really think about me. I can see your real attitude behind the mask. I was seeing behind the mask crystal clear. And when this happened, everyone was out of the room. No one was around. So she felt safe to reveal who she truly was. And I was like, okay, I'm done working with you. No wonder why nothing works. And whoa, like, either we need an exorcism, and I don't do exorcisms, and I don't really believe in evil and demons. So this is just an aspect of you, and I can't help you from being you. You are who you are. You got to clear that out. That's your own baggage in an animated form of you. Like, it's your own personal demon. Make friends with your demons. Do your shadow work. So, and then she was mad. She was like, help me. And I was like, I can't, because you got to deal with this. And then I go, the best thing to do, go to a counselor, because you probably have PTSD and you're being triggered every time something similar looks like a situation that you've been through. So you need some realistic counseling. I know a really good counselor over something it's like called Elemental Counseling Center or something like that. Elements, just called Elements. I was like, look up Elements. Like, I had a really cool counselor. They're really into alternative stuff. Like, my counselor was a Scorpio who could talk to the dead and see the dead. So of course I ended up with her as my counselor. Like, so maybe she could help you out. I was like, but at this point, see, there's personal things going on. If there is any magical things going on, So, I left her for a while. Then I do what I do. I kind of dip, leave for a while, And then, I came back, to shop in the store. And then she was rude. She was like, just kind of rude. Then the next time I came in, this time, once again, no management's there. But she had her little henchman that she's been talking to. So they decided to attack. And it got real, all of a sudden, it just felt like some all this pressure from all over was just like coming down on me, and it was like this like nasty energy kind of vibrating, kind of like not exactly like claws digging into me, but just like it was almost like I was like in a sphere of kind of like electric, it's an energy, and it was like trying to get in really hard and just like squeeze me and hurt me. And I'm like trying to breathe. I'm like, let me just look at this crystal over here. And my friends look going around the room looking at crystals. And I'm like, are you okay? I'm like, maybe it's time to get a cookie. Maybe we should go get some french fries. Let's go outside. And my friend's like, oh, I just want to look at this one more time. I'm like, aren't you being affected by this? Like, I want to know, is this just a me thing or a you thing? She's like, oh, well, most stores just kind of feel a little weird. That's just how rock stores are. I'm like, okay, good for you. And not me, I'm being like squeezed. I'm like, okay, maybe they're just attacking me. And then we like move over, and then like I grab this like piece of yellow fluoride. And as soon as I did that, like it was like something snapped and I could like breathe through my chest. I was like, whoa, that's so cool. I didn't know yellow fluoride could like unbind whatever. And so what was also weird is like during this whole shopping experience, she would go into the back room. But of course, she told me she didn't do magic and she doesn't play with witchcraft. And she's an ex-Mormon, so oh no, we won't do that. But she's always saying stuff about Kali. In fact, even the conversation that day, like when we came in, she said something about Kali, and I was like, yeah, Kali, the mother of all demons. Duh, I know her very well. Like I used to work with her. So why you? So she's acting like she's never brought that up before, Kali. And she's like, yeah, me and Kali were really close, or we're friends now, or something stupid like that, or she's great. And I'm like, yeah, but did you know she was actually a forest goddess before she was the a demon goddess? Like, and Shiva was a mountain god and a forest god as well. So these Hindu gods were other gods before they were Hindu gods. I'm like, do you even know this? Like, before you open your mouth and say all this shit, like you know something, you don't really know anything. And I was the one who told you I'm connected to Kali. So that's one reason why I'm even talking to you or allowing myself to even interact with you. So, anyways, so then I like had that like yellow fluoride, and I was like, here, and I gave it to my friend. She's like, whoa, I can like breathe through my chest now. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, isn't that cool? I'm like, it's kind of weird that we had to go through this experience to learn what yellow fluoride can do. It can kind of unbind, kind of like if someone's like putting the energetic squeeze on you. And I'm like, how is she doing this? I'm like, there. It's like, she's giving it her all. And I'm like going, how does this work? Fascinating. Oh, that kind of hurts. Interesting. Could you squeeze me more? Could you hurt me more? Well, I'm just like, I'm kind of like enjoying the torture. She's like, I'm torturing you. And I'm like, I think I can stretch a little more. Oh, it's a nice pop in my back. Wow. Anyways, so this was me under this psychic attack. And I guess I left one more detail out. When we first came in, my friend was standing next to me and she reached for like a crystal. And then like through the corner of my eye, I like saw these like black threads attached to her second chakra from the back. And I was like, oh no way. They did like they're like threading into her second chakra. And I'm like, wow, because it always looks cool when I see cords like attach or move into someone. I'm like, why do they want to do that? Like, she's never even, like, I've never brought her to this store, and she has really she hasn't done anything to these two ladies. So why are they even bothering with that? So I'm like in my mind going, why? How interesting. So I'm like kind of like, I'm always in my mind. I think a lot. So while all this is going down in the lower chakras, I'm like fascinated by what's going on. I'm curious. And so yeah. So we finally leave. And I was like, I can't believe they did that. Like, she knows I have some ability to see. She also knows I have the ability to work in the astral plane. She also knows it does magic. She also knows at certain times, if there was such a thing, I played with those things. So, why did she assume that she could use that type of trashy, low level magic on me? Of just negative energy and whatever. And like while it was all going on, I was just kind of feeling the energy. And I was like, is this just so much fear that it feels like hate? Is this hate? Is this fear? And I like had this like vision. Like I was like in this black space, and then there was this like mouth that had like teeth all around it. So whatever this entity was, like, or whatever she was doing or they were doing together, I was like, huh, this is interesting. And then I went home, and you know and of course I had to like cleanse the crystals that they wrapped and gave to us and bought. They had to handle them because they worked there at the low level retail level, hating their lives. And I work at retail level as well. So it's like there's no reason to hate on another retailer. So, anyways, uh, I was like cleansing my shit, and I was like, I grabbed my selenite and I like laid down. I was like, oh, I'm a little bit tired after all that. Them shredding into my aura and digging into my body and doing whatever they were trying to do, being all magical and witchy and condescending and rude. And the little scorpion, she was like a Cancer Scorpio, and she was being so annoying and like kind of saying things in a weird way, like she was having an inside joke. And I'm like, dude, before you even opened your fucking mouth, I saw what you're doing and I can feel what you're doing. But you don't know anything about my friend who is a really powerful witch, who's really gifted with the astral plane. I wouldn't mess with her. Like, she's my new mentor. So I'm like, you guys don't even know who or what you're dealing with. And so I would say a word of caution before you start magically attacking people is you don't know what they're into, what their skill set is. Anyways, so this video got really long. So maybe I should call this I don't know, like it's like a catch up video on all the drama that's been going kind of like behind the scenes of my life. Um, but basically, I was like, you know what? I don't really do magic. I'm so much into this other stuff. But now I find myself in a situation where I'm being attacked by two low level witches, and all they know how to do is project fear and hate and dig into people and thinking they're like powerful. And I'm like, maybe I should learn magic. What am I gonna do? I'm like, well, let's just do a simple sigil. Let's just do a simple magic and see what happens. Because I'm always an experimenter. And so it's like the next day, and I'm at work. Well, actually, I should tell you. So, like, okay, we should go back a little bit, rewind a little. So, after we left the store, my friend is like, is it okay if I go home? And I'm like, yeah, but I think we should ground first. I think we should go sit in the sun, ground, or whatever. She's like, no, I think I should just go home. I'm like, okay. And she's like, that's so cool. You just let me do what I want. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, I'm going home. I'm grabbing some selenite and laying down. So I got home, I did that, and I felt these energy cords come off my heart chakra. And I was like, yeah, that was feeling like a little suffocating. I felt like maybe I was having a heart attack or something, like a little squeeze, little uncomfortability. I thought maybe it was allergies, or I knew I was stressed out, a little anxiety. I was like, am I just picking up their feelings? Who knows? But I had my selenite, and I have like 4 sticks of selenite, so I just put one in each hand, you know, left 2 alone. Grabbed and I laid down, and I found myself like going to sleep, kind of, and then just feeling the energy, and then I felt the cord snap off, and then about 5 minutes later, my energy started to come back. I started to feel normalized. So then I went out about my day, and I just felt like the world was weird. It was like I was somehow not fully integrated into my body, but I sensed a lot of violence in the atmosphere. And this like one guy driving by like slowed down and was like staring at me like he wanted to get in a fight and whatever. And he like wanted to get aggressive. I'm like, dude, I'm just walking across the street. You're basically illegally turning, and you're somehow trying to blame me for, I don't get what you're doing. So then I just did the symbol of the bull. I wanted to like flip him off. I would be like, but I that's really not normal for me. So then I just did the symbol of the bull, and I was like, yeah. And then I was like, go, leave me alone. And then, so then now it's the next day. Before work, I go to grab some breakfast, and this I'm walking by, and this guy is like, "Yeah, just die." I was like, "Okay." He's like, "Yeah, move on, just move on and die. Just get out of here. I don't like your kind," or something like that. I'm like, "What?" And he looked like maybe he was a little bit on drugs or something. I don't know, but basically, he was telling me to die. And then I like get to work. And my coworker's like, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "Fine." Just some young guy in his 20s is like telling me to kill myself and die and whatever. And then I was like, I was wondering if she tried to do like a kick me sticker, the little Scorpio, the gift that keeps on giving. I'll just kind of do a little hex on you and make you and have violent, well, I don't even know if she knew what she was doing fully, but you're going to attract